may already be thinking it, that your labor went on for too long, that something just felt off with everything. And now you're holding your baby and the doctors are telling you something about this thing called HIE. Maybe even the possibility of a cerebral palsy diagnosis is something that you may have to look forward to down the road. So I want to talk with you today about a pattern that I see a lot when families reach out after these types of diagnoses. And what it is it's a prolonged labor, and not just a labor that has just went on for too long. A prolonged labor where the baby's heart rate was showing signs of trouble and that those signs were not taken seriously enough or acted on fast enough. In the medical records, this is often going to show up as something called a non-reassuring strip. And that means that the fetal heart monitor is showing things like a slow recovery after contractions or a lack of variability in the heartbeat. It's the baby's way of saying that I'm not doing well in here and I need help. When that happens, the medical team is supposed to monitor closely and make decisions to protect the baby. Sometimes that will mean a C-section will have to happen sooner rather than later. But I've seen cases where those warning signs were there and they were there for hours. The labor kept going, interventions kept getting delayed, and the baby stayed in distress. And that's when oxygen to the brain can begin to drop. And when that happens for too long, an HIE diagnosis can become a real risk for your baby. And for some babies, HIE is followed by a subsequent diagnosis of cerebral palsy. Now, here's where the fear of all of this comes in. I've talked to mothers who were there. They were in the middle of labor and they could feel that something was just not right. Something was wrong. They were watching the nurses, watching the monitors, and feeling the shift in the room. But later, when their baby was hurt, they were afraid to ask too many questions, afraid of what the answers might say about the people that they trusted, afraid that they might be blamed for something during this process, afraid of starting something that they weren't sure that they could finish. If that's you, I want you to know that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to say something didn't feel right and that you need to understand what happened to your baby during labor and delivery. That doesn't mean that you're immediately looking for someone to blame. It means that you're trying to protect your child. When families reach out to me, what I do is I help them be able to look at the medical records and see what the records say, what the strip showed, and what the doctors and the nurses did about it, and whether more should have been done. When we start investigating these cases, we're not going to charge you anything for the initial investigation. We're not going to charge you up front for that. Some firms don't handle it that way, but we do, because we know that what you're going through is already a lot. So if that fear is sitting with you right now, you have questions and you know that you need answers and you want to take a step forward, this is the step that you can take, and this is the step that you can begin to take to find answers in regards to your baby's HIE brain injury. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and if you have any other questions about your baby's HIE brain injury at birth or even a subsequent CP diagnosis, if you have those types of questions from a medical legal standpoint, this is what I invite you to do. Don't hesitate to reach out and contact me. You can find out more information about me in my profile. My information is there. If you're watching this video on certain apps, you can also you can send me a DM and we can chat a little bit about your baby story, or you can just wait and watch the picture that follows the end of this video. All right, that's going to be it for this afternoon's quick educational video. Have a great day, everybody.